Hey yo, what's up everybody? Dan Tom here, host of the Protect Connect podcast. Sorry I'm late, guys. I'll save the intro clearly off my game in multiple ways. But yeah, thank you guys for joining. What's up, Matt, Pauly? It's time for me to be late, record late. So apologies. Hopefully we can make up for it with a shortened format. I don't know how much of the positive effect it'll have. Hopefully it will be on time. This is where you listening in the future can check and be like, Dan, Tom, you dumb bastard. You can be like, Willem from Mallrats, like classic opportunity I give you. Because no matter how hard I try, apparently I'm just that guy. So whether it's the bad picks that I'm going to be giving you guys or being late to give you bad picks, I don't know why you're here. I don't know why you support me, but I appreciate you guys. About to shout you guys out in a second. We'll skip the recaps again. I don't know how much, again, it'll help for the cheery notes. Just struggling. Yeah, I'm fine. Nothing to complain about. Just normal. I wish people would realize more whether we're talking about, like, the UFC production staff or why maybe gambling prop lines aren't out as fast this week. Or if you guys have noticed, last couple of years, it's just kind of gotten worse at that. And again, a lot of it's Occam razor, and again, not complaining, but there is a natural burnout when you actually work in the industry, when you're not just enjoying it as a fan, or you're not just enjoying it as an avid fan, a hardcore fan, maybe a hardcore fan that bets, a hardcore fan that posts bets, a hardcore fan that occasionally podcasts, a clipping person that does good analysis. I'm not hating on any of those. I'm just saying that, like, there's a commitment level there, that's a little. It's a little. I miss it, frankly. I'm definitely not talking crap. If anything, I miss it. I miss enjoying it at that level. It was so much easier. But yeah, we're 5 articles down, 5 more to go. We're live for the show, and at least I got analysis and plays for the pretty much the whole main card, which is all I'm really going to be looking to play. So I'm going to be able to give you guys the whole shebang here. So let me just pay respects to the chat. Then I want to pay respects to the people supporting from the Dan Clan to the Substack, which I was just updating before I got on here. Again, I want to stay true to that, even though I'm not selling anything. I'm not promising anything. I'm a man of my word. So, trying to stick to that as far as keeping the content going there. And it was just updating my Fluid Thoughts article where I will plug in the picks and plays first before I get to here, before I even get to plug it in, which I still have to do. The Action Network app, I had to plug in all my stuff there too as well. Edit the show, all that, do all that fun stuff on multiple Yeah, I'm going to be up probably all night. We'll see if I get to update. Will Dan make his yoga class, the weekly challenge that I failed twice, about to be thrice on probably tomorrow. We'll see. But I'm trying, folks. I'm trying. For what it's worth, I'm not eating enough, sleeping enough, and missing my workouts and further costing my sanity. But it's okay because when I finally get downtimes at the end of the week, I get to watch these fights and be made a fool of in public. So I mean, what's not to like? But we will have a week off where whatever I complain about as far as my normal burnout toward the end of these stretches, I tend to. And I was asking if any of my media fans, thankfully some of them. Because most of the shit I throw out there, like with the thing I mentioned as far as like maybe why props are out, and people just look at me crazy, or I just go unacknowledged, and I just feel crazier than I already am and look. But yeah, I had some media members agree with me that, like, maybe nervous breakdown is a strong word that maybe only applies to me. But, we almost get more stressed out on our rare off week because there's so little of them. This feels like, the third, like, UFC free week? Like, since the year started. We're halfway through the year, people. That, like, everything gets pushed off and stuff. So I've got, like, God forbid, my doctor's appointment, see what the fuck's going on with my wrist. Anyways, nobody fucking cares. But yeah, I get to cram that all in and maybe work out. Fun vacation off week. And I'm still going to be giving you guys the podcast, by the way. Be giving you guys top 5 rear naked choke artists, still scheduling with my guy Ben Cohn there. So that's going to be fun. I'm genuinely looking forward to that. Like, I'm actually genuinely looking forward to chatting with you guys. That's probably why this goes so long, because even though, I can seem like a sourpuss, like, I'm happy to see you guys, man. Like, chatting and mixing it up with you guys is a genuine highlight. So, this is really helping keeping me going and stuff. So, But yeah, I'm still going to be keeping it going for you guys, even on set off weeks, hitting you with content. Maybe I'll have a haircut finally. I don't know. I've been trying to fucking cut this thing since May. But, you know, the UFC schedule, we love it. Love it so much. We got rematches and all the like, so let's get it. We got, like I said, Matt Pauly's in the house. What's up, brother? James Kendrick, of course, man. He is a real one. Hello, I'll be here. Real Susan Truesdale. I'll wait for this. Enforcer number 2, baby. Ghost fan, I'm killing it. Speaking of, make sure you're following all Ghost's stuff on his Substack and otherwise, and YouTube. I got to get the recommendations, Ghost, by the way, that you said. I got to get your channel and some others on there. I'm behind, so I apologize, guys. Let's go, Jimmy Kudo. Dan Urban in the house. Danny Herbs. I'm in Vegas. Let's get. Yeah, I want to, man. I'm trying to get out on my normal Friday night. Hopefully, we'll see. I think Anik and Florian are doing something at the Tom's Watch Bar. Dan, if you're listening, New York, around 6:30. I don't know if it starts at 6:30. Hopefully, it starts because I have a hard time getting there that early. And traffique. But I do like to sometimes park there and then walk across to the BetMGM to make some bets, and I think I have some tickets to cash. I know I lose all the time. That doesn't mean I don't have tickets to cash. I have some tickets to cash there as well, to be honest. So that's what I'm going to try to do, maybe, and try to meet. I'm just announcing my plans. Thankfully, nobody listens to the show, even though I do have plenty of enemies. So even if anybody does, that wants to do me harm, so I guess that doesn't matter. I'm kind of fucked there, but whatever. I'm going to try to meet my guy AB there, but again, nobody cares. I don't want to get in the listing mode, but there's just a laundry list of shit that I have to do on Fridays on top of this week. So yeah, and it's a one-man show in every shape and form over here. But I would love to, because that's part of the other depressing thing is like again, it's not even the winning and bragging. I'm the best. I'm not wired like that anyways, but at least it'd be, kind of would justify the time that I put in this thing, especially on these like weeks where I should be grateful I work in the space. Everyone's in my backyard, including the fights itself. Dan, what the fuck? Why aren't you out there? It's like, well, I'm stuck behind a fucking screen, and I can barely eat and feed myself. So it's really frustrating. I really would love to just one week have a normal week would be great. See my friends that are in town. So I'm trying my best, folks. Maybe we'll try for the Sphere or something like, I don't know, like, but yeah, I gotta be human as best I can, but I try, but it's what it is. Action Bronstein, big ups, Tom. Big ups, Action Bronstein. I don't even know who you are, but that's a fucking cool name. How about that? James Kendrick, let's get this show on the road. Yeah, I won't spam as much stuff on the chat to get you going. Oh, yeah, you guys already know I take too long, huh? All right, I'm going to get going. We all feel this, man. The hair looks nice. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I should be grateful that I have it. I know. I'm like OCD. I'm like, I usually don't let it. I'm usually like a number one fade guy. I don't know how you guys rock. You guys like to rock your lettuce. So having the grease on the side is weird for me. It's been a minute. Anyways, let's get to the good stuff. Before we do, I just want to shout again. Not that I'm worth it, especially with this energy that I'm bringing, but and whatnot, and yada yada. Not that I'm promising anything, but if you guys do want to support, 2 ways you can do that. Most relative, since we're on YouTube, you can join the Dan Clan, and you get the little avatars, custom made avatars. You got to email me for it or DM me. By the way, hit me up there, folks. I'm about to shout you guys out now, and I don't think I've seen it. If I did, it might have slipped through the cracks. So stay on it with me, but I'll give you 50% off the Substack subscriptions, of course, over on Substack, which is also Dan Tom MMA, as you see in this little name tag over here. Where you can find me on the artist formerly known as Twitter, but yeah, this YouTube channel, Dan Tom MMA, as well as my Substack, makes it all easy. There, it's $5 a month. It's $2.99 for the Dan Clan, but again, you can get 50% off, so it ends up being not much more over the $5 for 2 memberships for 1, basically. But over in the Substack, what you get access there, not just the shows, the post-fight shows. You don't get access to it live here, the Dan Clan, I should say. That's how you can both access it live and contribute live to post-fight shows, which me and Fenyo are going to go live after the show, most likely. I don't think I'm attending, so I'll probably be able to do it on the night of. Stay tuned, guys. I'll announce that on Fight Day, and we'll be announcing those on Fight Day. Trying to announce these earlier, trying to do our best here. But, I'm busy. My guy Fenyo's busy, but we're doing our best for you. Fenyo actually killed it on his show, by the way. Go check out his full preview show this week. The man killed it. The early prelims and full I don't know how he does it, and he does it short. So you get like the shorter, more concise shit. Like, I'd say stick to Fenyo for that, man. In general, you should probably stick to Fenyo, but thank you for being here, and if you want to support, I just gave you guys your ways, and I want to shout those people, and then we'll get to this breakdown, I promise, and we'll try to get out of here. freaking fast. For the Dan Clan, again, join the clan. Join the Dan Clan, I should say. Make sure you join the right clan. I mean, either way, you will have MMA fans around you. But shout out to Purple Burb. Join the clan. Recently joined the clan. Mr. Stitchface. I always see him on Twitter. Real good dude. It's great. I see like all the everyone right now. No one's past the 1 month, so everybody's got the Donnie Clifton avatars, which is hilarious. We got Beaver14. Joined the Dan Clan. Thank you. If you guys have like last names, I'm going to like abbreviate because I want to shout you out whilst not violating your privacy, if possible. No, I get Fenyos just supporting the show. Mr. Nerdista, join the Dan Clan. My guy Dan S. Yeah, Action alum, join the Dan Clan. My guy Pascal R, who's always... The R stands for references because this guy knows the weight of my heart with his references. He referenced, tried to pick my old crazy rambling ass up off the timeline earlier by referencing Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Leonardo DiCaprio character. Again, sad characters / if not, maybe not a sad character. He's a rich, successful actor. I wish I could have been, right? But you know what I mean? Like sad moments even. Like unfortunately, like that's what old Dan Tom relates to. And that moment in the trailer of like, you stupid son of a... Yeah, surprise, surprise. Dan Tom doesn't, relates to the negative self-talk there. Anthony C, of course. Anthony C, who is also a founding member of the Substack. Of course, you guys get a discount for signing up here. You get like a month free, $55 for the whole year. And then a founding member, I just set it at $209. They auto set for like $300, and I've seen people set it for higher. Again, I don't have the heart to do it and to stay in theme, but whilst keeping it high, I made it $209, and what you get with that is it only covers you for the year. But between you and me, I'm going to go ahead and gift you guys a subscription after that for free. You don't have to worry. I'm just if you do that. And then also you get a one-time only, though. One-time only, you get to choose a top 5 topic. That will be a bonus show. On top of the schedule. It may be on the main feed as a free show for everybody. That's not what I mean by bonus. It doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be behind a paywall necessarily. But either way, we will do it. Either way, it will be available, if not made partially available for you. As again, I'm a bad businessman, but even for the paid stuff, I'm going to make as much of it free as possible. Like the Southpaw Report's going behind a paywall. But this week, it looks like it's going to be teensy. So it's like, why would I put that behind a paywall? Might as well just share it, right? And then I think I shared like over an hour worth of free podcasts, like the majority of the show, me and Fanyo's post-fight show. On the audio feed for you audio listeners, 5-star ratings and reviews, appreciate it. Still taking the time to edit audio into those. So thank you guys for the Dan Clan. Again, you guys can join that here. Just click membership, join. It's not just subscribe, hit the bell, hit the like, which please do. I appreciate that. But again, if you guys want to both access, watch live, contribute, as well as earn fun badges. That's the Dan Clan. Only $2.99 a month. That'll get you 50% off. The Substack, which is $5 a month, would be cheaper, of course, with the $50 or the 50% off link, which you got to, again, email and DM me for. Plenty of free subscribers. Want to shout you guys out. It's all appreciated because you guys don't have to spend money, man. Times are tough. I get it. Just subscribing for free or doing other things for free, like hitting the share button, hitting the like button. These things, honestly, you can argue help just as much as the monetary stuff for what they do, sadly, with the way algorithms are wired. So really appreciate that. That being said, appreciate Drummer Heller for the monthly free trial. Hopefully I don't let you down too much there. Either way, it doesn't matter if you don't subscribe. Only subscribe for a month, then you can't. I won't take it personal because that life happens, and just any kind of support is more than I deserve, to be honest. But I do want to shout you guys. My guy Martin, shouts to Martin. Shouts to Jay Jimenez. Shouts to M Boys. We know M Boys. M Boys is a friend here. Shouts to my guy, Aaron M. A lot of Aarons that are friends of the show. A lot of Aarons that potentially work in different parts of the MMA space. Either way, I appreciate their support. I don't know why these guys are so good to me. I just want to shout out Sam Yang in the Southpaw podcast. Shout out to Christopher A. Don't want to say the last name, but I'm very, very familiar with this person on the socials. Thank you, Chris. Danny Mack. Thank you, Danny Mack, for a yearly paid. I appreciate that. Oliver S. Thank you very much. Oliver S. joining the Substack as a paid subscriber. Thank you. You guys are going above and beyond over here. Nambu Run. Sorry if I that was a year. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Apologies if I butchered that. JCM Reynolds. Thank you very much. Very much for jumping up. Thank you. Whoa, we got another founding member. I gotta have like a sound effect, like it's 200 to be like a Nate Diaz sound. Like, no, thank you. You know, yeah. Sorry, that was like the Joe Biden Nate Diaz just trying to search for his words. Oh man, I don't want to see our fighters age. Wow, Dan, can you stop making it dark and just pay tribute to your listeners? All right. Thank you to founding member, Big Tool. 4. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Feel free to get at me, by the way, to cash in anytime for your one time only to pick a top. And take your time, by the way. Same with Anthony C. Same with Big Tool. You guys take your time picking the top 5 topic because it's a one-time thing. Don't rush it, but I will honor it. And also, when I believe that it only covers you for a year or something, which I feel like it should cover you more for that as a founding member. But before you resubscribe, founding members, both the ones I'm talking to and future ones, hit me up because I do not subscribe for longer and pay me again. Again, if you do a founding member, I can't in good conscience take more money from you. I will comp you whenever that founding member subscription is up. So please just reach out for me. Don't let me forget though. Okay. All right. Almost done here, guys. My guy Ghost Phantom, of course, supporting the show. Viva Coronaldo, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Lukey Z, appreciate Lukey Z. See this person a lot. Appreciate the feedback on the Substack. Another fellow Danny. Thank you. Shout very much for that. Appreciate use all. All right, that ends that. Let's get to the breakdown, shall we, real quick? But shouts to Mr. Stitchface. He's a good dude. He is a good dude, Ghost Phantom. Jimmy Kudo, Enforcer number 1. The Substack is awesome. Make sure you guys join. Fenyo and Dan's recap show is great. Oh, thank you. The check is in the mail, Jimmy. The check is in the mail for that. I appreciate that so much. And go support my guy Fenyo stuff, by the way, man. Again, he puts out awesome content, actually on time and very concise. Follow him at Fenyo X Sky. All right, 17 minutes. Let's get to this fucking breakdown, shall we? Wow, potty mouth on Dan Tom today. I know he's really. You can tell I'm really tired and low on fumes. But let's get the fuck to it, huh? Let's get the fuck to it. All right, UFC 303. Conor McGregor's not fighting, of course. So they call Poatan Pereira, and it's a rematch. Surprise, surprise. You know I love those. Poatan Pereira, Arlovksi-Buday is minus 148 roughly. Comeback on Prochazka, roughly plus 124. A classic two-way action fight. Seeing people take stabs on both sides anecdotally, whilst the line doesn't move too much from the opener. I mean, a little bit more in Poatan's favor, but that would make sense. He won the first fight. He's got the hotness right now. Shouldn't surprise. That being said, obviously, Yuri's a very popular fighter for good reason too. Everybody loves the samurai bit. Shout out to the original samurai, Kenny Florian, baby. Actually, I do got to shout out Kenny for a piece of analysis that did creep through my filter, and as when it does, definitely got to credit it, as I do whenever I can. So we'll get to that on the main card, but the main event. Well, I want to keep this short because I feel like everything's been beat to death. Like, I've been calling the Prochazka left-sided susceptibilities since he, which, I know he hasn't had that many fights in the UFC. The majority of his career was regionals, Japan, so forth, where he kind of grew his cult following, that is Prochazka. But as far as calling it with the clips and stuff, showing that even though he comes from an amateur Muay Thai background, he does a lot of boxing-style dips to his right side, especially when he's in orthodox. And hence, even though he has porous defense and has kind of been hit by a lot of different things, you could argue he really gets hit hardest at a disproportionate amount by left-sided strikes by sheer nature of the heaviness of his dips to set side. So me picking Poatan should have been no surprise. Biased aside, my love for the Poatan side aside, right? That shouldn't have surprised you, showing the work there. Then you got even better people than myself for the analysis and clips. Shout out to my guy Miguel Class, by the way. If you don't want to do the paid for me, I don't know if he's on Substack, but like if you're on Patreon instead, and you're like, well, I'm on Patreon. I don't want to bother. You're not on Patreon. Fine. Go to my guy Mig Class's Patreon. He actually deserves more me to shout his stuff more than me to shout my own stuff this week after seeing how many people ripped off his Robert Whitaker analysis that me and Fenya were shouting on our post show. That was just disgusting. I know that bothered you guys a lot. It was cool to see the community stick up for one of our own. You guys know I love that. I've definitely needed it before, so you know I'm going to keep that same energy, and you know I love it when I see other people like you guys, the James Kendricks of the world, Ghost Phantoms, Rian Sosa Truesdales, so on and so forth, all you guys representing really well out there, fighting the good fight. Not that I encourage you to waste your time on these people, but it's, you know, it does deserve to be called out, and it's bullshit, you know. As much as I bitch and whatever, I'm not the only one that's, you think I'm the only person that's busting their ass nonstop to try to put out stupid analysis on Elon's site? Like, dude, I'm not the only one. I'm a fucking drop in the bucket. There's a lot of good people / better people, in my opinion, than myself, who get hit with this stuff more than myself. So I hate to see it. Shouts to Miguel Class at Mig Class. Make sure you're following. Make sure you're supporting and retweeting his analysis, and you will see what I'm talking about, because he's one of the accounts that really gets ripped because he's really good, unfortunately. And again, I don't have stuff that goes as viral, but as somebody who's been ripped in other ways that are similar, though maybe, you know, different and harder to quantify, I absolutely feel for that. So, but yeah, he does the clip of Glover being able to left hook Prochazka as well, which was something that I highlighted in my analysis, to be fair, because again, I've said early reads I had on Prochazka. So again, by the time he fights Poatan, that's going to be the read there, right? And the leg kicks, not that I didn't know Poatan had good leg kicks, obviously, not that I didn't expect him to be effective. I didn't really focus on that too much prior because of that left hook read, which was sparking off to be the finishing shot for what it's worth, was kind of, you know, my Leo DiCaprio, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood reference again moment. And you're Prochazka switching stances a lot, you know, I didn't really lean on that too heavy, but obviously, as we saw, the leg kicks were very effective. Effective enough, in my opinion, to win him the first round. Unfortunately, as we know and as we saw, I believe all three judges gave it to Prochazka. Again, you know, it's you know, optics, I guess, I don't know. But, you know, we saw how it went. Prochazka obviously didn't show any improvements to his defense or leg-checking defense against Rakic, who went right after him in that department. And yeah, basic dynamic remains the same. Yuri has to take damage to win the fight, and that's a dangerous proposition against Pereira. So apologies, I just wanted to keep this breakdown short because it's just everything's been beat with a dead horse at this point, especially at this point of the week when I usually do my shows. So it's like, whatever. I don't know, it kind of deflates my balloon sometimes. I feel like I have more interesting reads, perhaps, and more reads just in general. It's a newer matchup. It's interesting in that way. And who knows? I haven't listened. There's very few analysis I've listened to. Again, shouts to Kenny. Here, I'll shout in a second. But as usual, I haven't listened to my dessert yet. So who knows? Maybe everybody picked up on this and I'm square. Or it doesn't matter because I'll just be one of those things that, like, you know, I was one of the few to pick up on, and then I'm wrong anyways. By the way, I'm trying to, you know, take criticism not seriously, because that's dangerous, and I get way too much that goes my way unfairly. But that doesn't mean I don't need to take it in as healthily as possible. And even though this, usually these people are kind of being whiny bitches and not really having any examples or substance about it, I do notice some people are like, oh, he's, like someone was like, oh, he's a know-it-all. He thinks he knows everything. And I'm like, I'm like the last person, if you think of that as far as if they're meaning it as far as like bets goes, victory laps goes, all that stuff. Like, I'm one of the most honest people, like, when it comes to like admitting right, wrong, luck, and what percentage of the pie those different things take of the equation, given the context, which is different for every situation. However, I was like, well, maybe they don't mean it that way. Maybe they mean it in like the ways of like, because when I listen to myself and I'm like, maybe this could be taken the wrong way, which is fair, by the way. Because I don't mean it this way, but it could definitely be taken this way, where maybe that person or others refer to as going, oh, the rematch thing. Look who called that, or now it's a Rydia season with the Sphere, right? And what did I get? What did I tell you guys once the door opened? And I'm not the only one. I'm not trying to be special or anything, but what I say, we're gonna be welcome to the sports wash. To the sports wash, yeah, right. I gotta make a custom gift for that, by the way, because it's just, again, as we're seeing, there's just way too much news for that. Criteria shifts, people overcorrecting the steering wheels. I think maybe the person refers to it when it comes to that, and I don't mean it to come off that way. The only reason why I point that I'm right on these things is not to like look like a genius. It's to kind of point to the. I say it within the context of pointing to the irony of that, like, I'm the one wearing the clown shoes every weekend because I end up wrong where it counts, right? With the picks and the plays, right? Despite like literally calling everything else right? And obviously, even though I'm saying the word literally, there's fucking tongue in cheek in there. There's hyperbole in there, right? And that being said, that's the spirit and what it comes from. So I hope I'm not coming off as too ignorant of an asshole. I don't mean to. For what it's worth, though I get it if I do come off as an asshole. I won't disagree with that either. But yeah. Anyways, so yeah, I don't mean to come off that way, but that's what it is. Where the fuck was I? Wow, Dan, don't get hit in that. Oh yeah, there's this fight. So the one thing is this: rematches seldom go the way the first fight went. Anybody who counts on that is just asking for trouble, unless you're like, MMA gambling Twitter person who's like putting like, stupid amounts of units on fights, because then that's what the universe will reward. The MMA universe, I should say. But yeah, is the fact that Herb Dean is tasked to ref this fight, and other people have talked about it. I was mentioned this thought. You guys already seen this thought if you saw the comment I made in one of shout out to Val Dewar's comments from the Cagecraft podcast. But on Twitter, I said, I was just like, yeah, I think it's dangerous because if, I know everyone's making like Alex favorable this or that. It was Mark Goddard. The standing stoppage, again, not so much with Adesanya because I'm not just saying that because I was on the right side of it, because most of the time I'm on the wrong side of these. The very few times they actually decided to do standing stoppages, but I keep the same energy regardless, and I'll keep the same energy here. I don't think that was a bad stoppage, and kind of like what was it I was talking about the other day, where it was a decision that people were complaining about, but like, it was the Hawaiian dude, Kauai guy, Josh Quinlan or whatever. Where people were saying Quinlan should have got, but I'm like, not that I have an opinion on it, because I'd have to rewatch it, but I did see Quinlan like applauding, like that makes sense that he lost. So I'm like, it's hard to get mad when the fighter themselves, and I know between fighters not knowing pre-flop knowledge of criteria or rules scarily enough, for the fact that they just suffered head trauma, like you can't really, you got to take it with some grain of salt, but at the same time, when the fighter is like, not doing the what the fuck test, shout out to the Co-Main Event podcast, right? After a stoppage, or they're clapping at the decision going against them, it's like at that point, it's kind of hard to get mad at it, right? But at the same time, bringing this point around and to justify that point and tying it into the point I'm making is that if Herb was reffing the first fight, there's a good chance that, that instant recovery from Yuri, the fight goes on. But that being said, there's also a chance that, Poatan, who's a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, stays on that mount position and just continues to elbow him into back into unconsciousness. Because as we've seen, strikers have really good ground and pound, right? But whether it's touch and go stoppages that are kind of on the feet, like the one I sampled in that reply that I just cited for Valdur's post, where I had the Amanda Hibash and Marina Rodriguez fight, where he touches the fighters and kind of keep going. He's done that before, and a lot of his stoppages, are ground and pound. Whenever we've done 2 versions now of top 5 worst stoppages in MMA, Herb Dean, and I know it's kind of the Sal Diamato rule. It's kind of unfair because, like, well, he's the guy with the biggest sample size. Of course he's going to show up, right, more. But you're talking about 2 different episodes, 2 different lists for each episode, and some of those had repeat selections. Granted, those were the super egregious ones. But there were common threads, and not just with the name Herb Dean, but with the way that it was stoppages, as far as like ground and pound being a real common one with him, right? And if even if Poatan drops him, a lot of the follow-up shots, as we've seen with Yuri, as we saw subsequently with Jamal, those have to be ground and pound shots, right? And Herb did ref Poatan's one, but remember, he, not that it was egregious. It wasn't like Grandpa Trinaldo versus Jai Herbert, where like Herb was just like, finish him, he's still breathing, like gross kind of shit like that. Or like the CB Dalloway Mirzalayev or whatever, that guy, I'm probably mispronouncing the name, but you guys know what I'm talking about, that UFC Russia fight, that really bad one. I think that's like my number 1 actually. Murda's alive, and I can't even say the name. But yeah, like it leaves that door open, right? So that's what kind of worries me here. The toe and the conditioning also worries me, but then Alex is looking like he's in like even better shape than any of his other fights. He's looking ripped, and then he's kicking the pads like he's not too worried about the broken toe. And again, broken toes are one of the more fought through injuries, which is probably part and parcel, aside from karmatically asking for it, why everyone's going so hard in the paint on McGregor right now, right? So yeah, that does worry me. As I said in the Fluid Thoughts, I did, because one house has shit round prop odds, but I wanted some action on Poatan, and I did grab for that. That was a stupid line at -128 for 2 units, but I'm not the main play, and the tracked play is going to be Poatan round 1 plus 380 for 0.75 units, and round 2 plus 550, 0.60. So I know it's like, why mention Dan? Well, I'm, as surprise, Dan Tom is too honest to a fault. But again, I just wanted action in one of the houses, and I already knew the main plays, what I wanted to wait for. I wanted to make my official plays, which I did, and locked in and can be congruently shown in the Fluid Thoughts article for paid subscribers in the Substack. I locked in already earlier this week, is whether you want to go to the 1.5 to secure a unit on Poatan, because he's listed at -150 or maybe below right now, or you feel bullish on it and want to go 2 units like I did in one house. It doesn't make sense. There's too much intangibles at play to just play moneyline chalk, moneyline in general. I mean, if you want to play moneyline, it's, play the dog side, I would say, right? In this case, right? Or play Yuri by KO, because that's the more smarter way, I guess, to play that, unless you think he's going to submit or try to submit Poatan, which I don't think is the case. He certainly ain't winning a decision. But basically, if you put 0.75 and plus 380 round 1 Poatan, and round 2 plus 550 at 0.60, that's like what, 1.4 unit exposure, so that's under a 1.5 unit exposure, and you essentially net guarantee yourself 3 units on either side cashing. Now, if it wins by decision, which, come on, I mean, that's crazier than Jailman Derek Lewis if this goes to decision for 1. Obviously, you lose those bets. Why not play Yuri or Poatan for just forget the money line, forget the round props, Dan, just play him by KO. One, to be honest, I feel like, the odds probably won't reflect it off the top of my head, but like, I don't feel like Poatan by sub is too far off as far as probability as Yuri by sub. You know, but I mean, look, Yuri subbed Glover Teixeira, for Christ's sakes. You know what I'm saying? This is a crazy division. But furthermore, if it gets to round 3, not that it can't, obviously, but like something went wrong for Poatan in that case. Like, I don't think he's winning in round 3 if it gets to round 3. Like, something went wrong. He is getting grapple fucked. He is getting tired, and or he is weaning and wearing against a guy who tends to pick up and has that dog in him late, which is Yuri, right? So, in my opinion, it's kind of like a 2 true round outcome kind of fight for the Poatan side, round 1 and 2. You know, just don't even get cute with it with the KO. Round 1 and 2 is cute enough. I mean, hell, at those odds, even if you wanted to, you know, instead of putting 2 units on the money line, right? This is why I'm saying what I did in one house is a bad bet. Even if you got an air quote good line on the air quote right, air quote justified side, is that you could easily take those 2 units, split it in half, stick it straight up your but you take those two units, split it in half, put 1 unit on round 1 at plus 380, 1 unit at round 2 at plus 550 or plus 600 in some houses, right? And essentially, if one of those hit, you're either getting, 3 units net, roughly, if he gets it done in round 1, which is my official pick, by the way, or if he replicates the outcome in round 2, which would make sense, having to, survive a Yuri Storm and some grappling and get that kill shot, get his reads down, right? The classic kickboxer round 2 play I always talk about. It's like, well, shit, that pays you, 500 to 600 net, depending on what the odds you get it for and how you spread it out, right? I mean, that's pretty crazy alone. So, again, it just makes too much sense to target the rounds 1 and 1 if you like the Poatan side. So that is my official plays there. Gonna check the chat and we'll move on. Wasabi boys, Thursday night, Dan Thomas time. It's my 40th this weekend, so I made sure Saturday is all MMA. Oh, dude, happy early 40th birthday to you, Matt Pauly. Shoot, that's probably explaining we're close in age, brother. That's probably why I dig your avatar so much, that old school Super Mario. We probably grew up playing that same shit, man. I hope you have a good birthday. I hope you're able to clear the schedule and enjoy yourself. That shit that I was complaining about being too busy, you just want to be that guy who is just enjoying himself. You deserve it, brother. Happy 40th. Go down to the chat. Jimmy Kudo, Substack is awesome. Thank you for this format. I appreciate that. Hopefully you guys dig that. Hopefully also, speaking of format, hopefully you dig the alternative card formats. Hopefully it doesn't piss anybody off. People coming at me. Just kidding. Action Bronstein. We all feel this, man. I appreciate that. I'm out of the World Series of Poker. I'll see what I can do. All right, Dan. Well, hopefully whatever other gambling endeavors you get into this week, hopefully those go well for you. But you are still a sharp mind in my book. Keep exercising it and having fun with the World Series of Poker. You know I'll be rooting for you, Danny Herbs. A man of the cards. He knows his way around the cards. We'll just say that. More ways than one. Oh, Danny Herbs. Ghost Phantom, do you hate the short notice nature of mains and co-main? Burnout and oversaturation a real thing? Yeah, I hate it. That's another thing. It's like, I'm trying, as much as I say I try not to complain and still complain in some shape or form. I know, I'm sorry, guys. That's another reason. It's just, it's tough to, as much as I want to blame myself with all my, self-hate that I'm so good at, it's like, or do I just legitimately work like a lot, and me being a slow-ass writer doesn't help. But yeah, what certainly doesn't help is all these card change-ups and stuff, trying to stay on top of these. It's exhausting. And again, to my point, it's not just me complaining. It's like, well, look at, from the odds not getting out to other things, the fighters themselves, the UFC themselves, the fighters themselves can barely keep the schedule, folks. Are these all coincidences? Or maybe it's an Occam's razor thing here where it's like, maybe it's just a fucking unsustainable schedule and it's just not fucking healthy for anybody. Huh? I know you guys love your fights every week. I'm sorry if, God forbid, anybody says a statement that doesn't affect that ultimately anyways. God forbid we have a fucking opinion. But yes, Said opinion has actual effect on what we enjoy, regardless of our opinions on it. Because that's a real thing. It's a relentless I say relentless UFC schedule for a fucking reason. Takes a toll. I'm grateful for it. I'm glad you guys love it, but that doesn't mean we can't acknowledge that it fucking takes a toll. God, boy, Dan, can you use this week? I know it's not even a week off. I hate calling it that. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Saw a replay of Jirim's Yuri's fight with Nemkov and Rizin. Kind of thinking his get got style is going to bite him again in this one. Yeah, that's the general dynamic, sir. Rio says in Truesdale, why doesn't and thanks for joining in Action Bronstein, by the way. Rio says in Truesdale, why doesn't Alex just use the old high kick when Yuri dips? You know, he could. I'd be worried about it with the toes, but it'd be more of a switch high kick. I mean, he's got good kicks from southpaw, or switch kicks, I should say. He was just drilling them on the bag this week at the PI, but it's not like something he's using at a high clip for me to like count on. But it'd be nice. You're not wrong, sir. You're not wrong. When Yuri goes southpaw, oh okay, yeah, you kicking from his right side, yeah, even more so. Yeah, it would make sense. He has underrated head kicks and stuff that he had from kickboxing, and those are, depending on who you ask, harder to be taken down from, unless of course the person rushes you. And these are a big guy, and he's a tall guy in a big guy division, and a tall guy in a big guy division. So, to be fair, Alex does run that risk of getting kind of run back and off balance, but that read is there. I completely agree with you, Rio. Good job. Ghost Phantom. Not at all, Dan. We all have different reads, but people misunderstand it as being a know-it-all. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Alex, James Kendrick. Alex should be okay at takedown defense because he works with Glover. I remember your first breakdown. You mentioned he was working on the half guard underhook getup. Yeah, he was, and he even did it off an overhook. He's finding that leverage from the overhook in the clinch, or even on the ground, as we saw with that. Obviously, he used the fence for an assist there. That was a big part of it, but in the getup against Prochazka in the first round, because he actually got back to his feet. People, got to remember that, I think, when you're looking at the success and trying to weigh that out as a pathway. I think it's more of a pathway for Yuri as attrition than it is any kind of game over, man. But all right, let's get over to the co-main event. Let's get through this. We've got another impromptu fight. Short notice. It's not a rematch, though, thank gosh. And where the fuck is the line? It's a stupid fucking site. Sorry, folks. Where the fuck? Why the fuck would... All right, sorry. Old man screaming at cloud. Brian Ortega plus 120. Diego Lopez minus 142. Yeah, Ortega actually opened as a slight favorite, but that slight plus money plus 105 got eaten up by the new hotness in town, Lopez, even though it's not really of a big age difference and Ortega isn't like super old. We know how MMA gambling Twitter is, and you know what? Unfortunately for MMA gambling Twitter, I'm on the side with the line movement. I'm on the side of the public. I'm on the side of the MMA gambling Twitter. That is dangerous. I'm on the chalk side, right? I'm against the more proven product, the plus money with the line flip, so you could bet Ortega and have the value, not have anybody argue you about it. We know how this goes for me. Dang, you're walking right into the trap. It's like, see, that's the thing. It's like, am I walking into a trap? Classic, or how can it be a classic walking into a trap if what I'm doing is doing the opposite of said Dan Tom classic move? Plus money, veteran, more proven product, line flip, fade the market. That's the mind fuck of all this. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to do the whole classic MMA gambling Twitter guy, I just won, and now they have to do a power. It's like a mandatory. Is it a mandatory thing, folks? Like, is it because I'm not a part of MMA gambling Twitter? Do you sign something where you're like, okay, you either have to, A, victory lap like an asshole, or B, and or hold a PowerPoint after every big night, explaining to people why your process and, hard work and blah, 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 bullshit, right? Yeah, because it's crazy. It's like you damned if you do, damned if you don't. That's the thing too. It's like, and and I've heard people just recently who I respect, and records not nearly in the toilet as me, have similar complaints and feelings. Off of just one losing night, they start doubting themselves. And these are good, smart, sharp people. So, sorry if I sound like I'm doing my normal song and dance, or you suck, it's like, this is normal. You try doing it publicly. All right? And then sustain this kind of a fucking record, you know? Again, folks, you got the recap show, but like, it is painful that we can play the game. Okay, what was the worst decision? What was the worst stoppage? Where was the injury on the card? Playing this every card and line up where Dan Tom ends up. It's sickening. It's fucking sickening, okay? It's sickening. It's not me being dramatic. It's just the fucking truth. I don't know what you want me to say. So I'm a little in my head about this one. I picked the chalk side. I don't like it. I missed the CLV, right? I took Diego Lopes at minus 140, but here's the reads, okay? So even though the basic dynamic, I'm going against my usual self, I'm also backing this quote-unquote opposite move with actual analysis. I've always liked Diego Lopes, so maybe this isn't crazy, but it doesn't matter if I like a guy or not. I show my work for my opinion regardless of what that opinion is. Does it mean it's going to be right? Of course not. But at least I can take solace when I'm eating my shit cereal as I do every Sunday and Saturday night that I showed my work. Anyways, the work to show here is this. Well, I don't even have it in front of me. So Ortega's southpaw will probably do him well in this fight. I wouldn't be surprised to see him bring back the Chan Sung Jung approach of the pot-shotting southpaw. He's going to have somebody that's more aggressive than him. He is a slower starter. And Diego Lopes has really good calf kicks, so the southpaw stance will probably take those away because I don't remember him seeing, even though the fight was short against Gavin Tucker, the one UFC sample on his sample size, I don't remember seeing him go for too many leg kicks in that. Granted, it didn't last long. Small sample of an already small sample overall. But if Ortega goes from his usual orthodox stance, I think he's going to get lit the fuck up. Anytime he throws his flint lighter out like jab, I think the right hands and left hooks over the top are going to come out for Lopes. I think Lopes has his own jab and his own straight shots that are going to be problematic because straight shots in general have been problematic. Anybody that throws straight punches is super problematic for Brian Ortega. And Lopes, even though he certainly still has his brawling instincts firmly intact, he's made clear strides in his striking and throws really good straight shots down the pike when he means to, right? I think that's going to serve him really well. Moreover, he will throw those straight shots, particularly when countering kicks. And even though Brian Ortega does a lot of boxing-centric stuff, especially as of late, he's been kicking more. But it's also got him countered, not just in the Volk fight, where he also, to be fair, countered Volk back in one of his bigger moments. One of the bigger shots that I remember him taking in his last fight against Yair Rodriguez was him getting a kick countered. So I missed this fight, right? I was in Thailand. And again, I don't want to sound guilty. Your dad, you think she's a genius again. But again, back to the irony. So I'm 17. We're about the halfway. That's another reason I'm kind of just getting down. We're at the half a year point officially with this card, folks. And I'm down, I think, 66 units on the year, 89 units total. And I am 2-17. I've won 2 UFC events and lost 17. Now, if you total up those numbers, there's 2 events missing. It's because I was in Thailand. Now, I always say I probably would have lost on those as well. But, the funny thing is, I picked Ortega on that fight because I picked him on the first fight that ended in that freak injury with Yair. But if you look at the first fight, I actually picked Ortega to survive a storm after being abused by body kicks and kicks from the southpaw side, which happened to get a submission in the 3rd round. Called it to a fucking T. Of course, I'm off that week, and then the week that I do call it, and it does happen, and I do have money on it, of course, there's a surprise, an injury happens, and surprise, who was on the wrong side of that injury along with the rest of the fucking injuries? This guy. Fortunately, that's not represented in my record, though, so I'm just a big loser with a big negative number, and that's all anybody has to point to anytime they want to come at me or retort because, of course they won't be able to come at me in any other way. Such is life. So we'll see what I open myself up to here. But back to the analysis as well. Oh, by the way, yes. Okay, so that's the striking. As far as the grappling goes, so this is an interesting one. real similar to Chucky. It's Chucky Olives, not Charlie Olives. If you're going to steal from people, shouts to MMA analysis, fucking credit them, or at least fucking get it right. You know? Fucking Christ. I blame Dan Hooker. I gotta ask him if he was a fan of the MMA analysis or something, because like he's the one spreading that. He's the Alex Jones of the Charlie Olives misinformation. Chucky Olives. Anyways, kind of similar to that, where it didn't end up mattering, but like similar to Chucky Olives, or I like to say Slim Charles. That's my nickname. Ortega, he also is like not just 9 out of 10, like 10 out of 10. His front chokes and guillotines, threats and chokes, it's always with the left side, despite, primarily fighting right-handed, right? Orthodox, right? It's really weird like that. So again, you want to look at where people shoot their takedowns. And I was a little worried because, your traditional fit-in, we'll call it fit-ins at Extreme Couture, when you're, doing the strikes to level changing shot, and you're orthodox doing that, you're usually doing it off a lead hand jab, changing your levels, shooting the fit in, running off to the angle, right? That would bring your head in from orthodox to an orthodox opponent. You're slipping to the outside of the jab, so you're bringing your head to that choking side for the Chucky Olives and the Diego Lopez's of the world, right? Or the, Brian Ortega's of the world. What Diego Lopez, I notice, is that even though he's got an underrated jab and he's improving his straight punches and yada yada, regardless of what he's shooting off of, his head, and in both stances as well, by the way, southpaw and orthodox, I've seen samples of this. His head has consistently, I want to say 9 out of 10 in case there's something I'm missing, but to be honest, I don't recall a single one, so I guess I can say 10 out of 10 as far as the samples that I saw. Lopez puts his head to his left, which means his opponent's right side. So that's where it's going. And then when he's playing half guard, it's kind of the same thing. Usually if you have a propensity to sag off to one side, sometimes it means you have a favorable side, right? And in jiu-jitsu, you can still have favorable sides. This isn't, it's like, it's not a hard and fast rule, but it's not an uncommon staple / theory / something that's known, right? And basically, if you look at it like from to put in like a football parlance, the way Lopez runs his offensive plays, whether we're talking about his takedowns or his passing, he is running it on the weak side of Ortega, right? He's going to the weak side. He's sagging his head off to the weak side, not Ortega's strong side, which is good if you're a Lopez backer. And when he's not wrestling, when he's not on top, so what does that leave when he's on bottom? What aside is back to favorable sides? What side is Lopez attacking? Well, Lopez, if you look at his, he's getting a disproportionate amount of arm bars, right? And a lot of times it's a triangle armbar combo. And when he goes to leg locks even, whether it's a finish or a close finish / scare like he did on his lone UFC loss to Movsar Evloev, you'll notice he does the classic, like any good jiu-jitsu guard player, you attack from high to low, high to low, high to low. You go high, triangle goes to the arm bar. That, you have to turn your hips a little extra to get the arm bar from the triangle. So if that fails, you are parlayed to kind of invert and start going for a leg, whether it's to scramble or to actually snatch something up, so on and so forth. And maybe the leg's not there. They sit down in base, but you've got the underhook on the leg. You go back to a wrist, foot in the armpit, play some K-guard. Now you're back up to high, go K-guard, back up, launch up to a triangle, right? You go high to low. And he plays that game. Now, are we counting on him to submit Ortega? Not necessarily, no. I'm not picking him to win by submission. But wouldn't have picked Yair Rodriguez to win by submission either. Now, I'm not going to be contrarian and say he won by submission because, in fact, he did not. It's a TKO shoulder injury, which is what it was, folks. That being said, Yair Rodriguez, what was he going for? He was going for a triangle armbar, the same triangle armbar Diego Lopez goes for on Ortega's arm. Shoulder issues, we know that those can kind of come and go, right? With, as we've seen with TJ Dillashaw, which, by the way, I was looking back at both Ortega and an Ole Dillashaw fight for a top 5 list I did earlier. And, you can kind of see, almost kinks in the shoulder and see, their shoulder almost looks out at certain points before they got said injuries. It's kind of crazy. And I don't know if it's just me being hyper aware and weird, which is totally totally there, obviously. But, it's like, right? And Ortega, it's more just a fate on Ortega's health. Again, the guy's not super old, but he's been fighting for 14 years, and that's a long time. That's a point where, like, you were post-prime for sure at that point. You're a veteran and post-prime at 14 years, without a doubt, folks. But are you a Brazilian warhorse is going to stick around or not, right? How are you going to age? That question, if it hasn't already been answered at 14 years in your career, it will be answered, even if you are a younger 14 years in the career where you're still in your early 30s, where you can still be like, oh, I'm still technically in my athletic prime. I'm only 32, or I'm just a year off 32. I'm 33 in this case of Ortega, right? But again, it's not so much years, it's mileage, which is that 14 years. It's how are you wearing that hard mileage, which is injuries in and out of the octagon. You even hear in Ortega, he's like, yeah, I'm just tired of this. I'm constantly getting ready to just get injured and have to recover again. And it's like a cycle that just keeps happening, right? And, Ortega's a guy that can just show up and pull victory out of the jaws of defeat. So if he wins, no one should be surprised. You shouldn't look into his interviews too heavily because of this. Because you can criticize his prep, whether it's like the Hannah Gracie salesman or the Tiki Gozen meme of, from that's one of my favorite memes I've come out of that fighting thing, where it's just like when you're trying to pretend like you know what you're doing or that you're supposed to be there and important, but you don't know shit or something. It's like, Tiki, you need to earn this, Brian. But dude, the guy will still kind of come through, right? Even though he's been losing a lot more lately, which is, again, deceptive injuries, really good fighters, best fighters in the division, etc. Right? Whereas it was Diego Lopes fought, even though he's got deceptive amount of experience and technically more fights in a shorter amount of time than Ortega, and is still 29, right? And wears it much better. And you can say, well, his TKO losses weren't due to injury. Lopez is like, yes, but you know what they were due to? I don't know the first one because you can't really find it. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks, but I found the ACA one, and both those were at bantamweight. Dude, I've talked about it here. I'm not like, like your typical, like, cocky MMA gambling Twitter. He's fucking muscles. Like, how big is his fucking cock? Oh, look at his size. But like Diego Lopes, when I saw him, I didn't think about any of that. But I was just like, holy shit, dude, that looks like a 6-foot version. It's like a 6'1" version of Diego Lopes, and I'm like, oh, that's just Diego Lopes. Holy shit, I didn't even realize that. I was sitting at dinner with name drop. Shout out to Johnny the Greek. Shout out to my guy Johnny. But yeah, we couldn't believe that. That's Diego Lopes. Like, what the fuck? And so to think that this guy was at bantamweight was just insane. I mean, it's insane to think Paddy Pimblett used to fight at bantamweight, which was where his stoppage losses were at, by the way, in his defense, right? Divisions these kids shouldn't have been fighting at. And Paddy looked really skinny and gaunt. But even younger Diego Lopes and skinnier Diego Lopes, he does not look healthy there, man. He should never have been fighting. And if you look at it, it's really weird. Like, it's funny, Frank Mir's calling the fight, and it's like right around the time of his, I don't know if it was Javi Ayala. I was there live for it, that Bellator Hawaii show, where like Frank claimed like the roof of his mouth cracked, and you see him like going, even before like the TKO stoppage and the tap out to strikes happens, right? Like, Diego Lopes is in guard after like a barn burner first round and having this guy in a bunch of trouble. And it's really weird. He looks like he's in a lot of pain. It looks like he gets headbutted, and he's just like and he's just kind of sitting there like he's like frozen and like in pain. And the guy uses that beat and then starts hitting him, and then he randomly goes out for a second and then kind of comes to, but the ref already stopped it. It's just a super weird stoppage, and you're like, oh well, he still went out from it looked like kind of an arm punch, ground and pound. You're like, yeah, the whole thing is weird, minus the fact that the dude shouldn't have been there, and the fact that he was there. I would expect him to get knocked out weird, just because he shouldn't be cutting down to that weight, right? And then sure enough, he went up to featherweight. He's been on a crazy run. Goes against Joanderson Brito, who that ages well, because again, even though it's like, oh, it wasn't like he was doing well or was going to win if he wasn't fouled or anything like that. Like, Brito was clearly taking it to him, but Brito was also clearly fouling, A, for what that's worth, but B, what you can take from that, forget the moralistic or any kind of stuff bordering that, is the fact that Brito was bombing on Diego Lopes's chin, and Diego Lopes was just was taking the shots pretty damn well, and he's taking some really hard shots really well. So unless he like ducks into a knee or something, I feel like he can take Ortega's shots. And or I know he's been submitted by like actual grapplers on grappling circuits and competitions, and I don't know the context of these, but you have to understand that a lot of times these promotions are classically usually they're never really setting up MMA guys against MMA guys. They're usually against actual grapplers, so they can like fuck up MMA guys. That's the gimmick. So when you see these MMA fighters with losses there, it's like don't really take that too much into account. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's just like a different thing, like Joaquin Silva. What did he like? Guillotine Neil Magny, like right off the bat, like a lightweight. But yeah, Lopez has a submission loss there, but in MMA he's never lost a submission and looks like a really tough guy to submit, get position on. And even though Ortega has quietly made some improvements to his wrestling and has been leaning on that more, especially when he's facing higher level strikers, I think that Lopez is going to be the better wrestler defensively and offensively. He doesn't show up much, but even in his earlier career, he actually has always had decent clinch trips and a pretty athletic, level-changing shot in his back pocket. And against a guy like a Sambo wrestling guy like Pat Sabatini, being able to just kind of just pull the pants up, so to speak, with the whizzers, and then just shove him off like he did, like Jesus Christ. And Sabatini, I know he's like a 5'9", a 5'8", who lists himself as 5'9". He's probably arguably closer to 5'7". He's just super wide and stout. He's still fucking strong, and that is, I know, maybe suspect chin, and I hate to say that about a guy I like and Patty Sabs, but whether you are a Patty Sabs fan or not, you got to give him credit in the grappling, the strength, the barrel-chested get on you, and Diego Lopes just shoved him off like a child. So yeah, those are the kind of long-winded there, but I there was a lot to take. And reason that I'm taking the Square side or the MMA gambling Twitter side or whatever you want to have it. And if you're on that side, I'm not hating on you. In fact, I apologize to you when Brian Ortega wins. So, all right. I'll go to the chat for this one, and then I'll blow through because that was kind of a longer one. Not all, Dan. We have different. Yes. Alex should be okay. Alex should be okay at takedown defense because he works with glove. Oh, yeah, the underhook get up. Yep. Ghost Phantom. Some analysis I shared with Dylan K, who is a part of Cagecraft. Ghost says, I'd also say for Lopez, even though Jack Slock talks about this every week, is to double jab Ortega will cycle through his defensive reactions like in the Yair fight. Yeah, absolutely true. A big fan of the double jab here as well. Ghost Phantom says he's always dipping to the rear foot with the second jab when the second jab comes. If he can enter off a single collar tie and Ortega ducks and use uppercuts. Yeah, that's something I wrote in my breakdown too, is Lopez is really good off of collar ties, and that's another thing. He's not just strong there, but he also can strike from there, and he's been quietly doing a lot of his work off single collar ties, which is really nice. It's like a quicker Jared Gordon in there. Quicker, more explosive Jared Gordon with those collar tie shots. Yeah, I agree with that. Jimmy Kudo, MMA Gambling Twitter, try to be a decent human being challenge. I know what you mean. Although I will say, again, I think I shouted out, I don't know what it was, I think in the post-fight show, I think I shouted out my guy Clint and some other people. I think Wheezy, some people show some, they definitely, we're showing some class as far as like the injuries go. So it's not everybody, man. I don't want to paint with a brush, but you're right, Jimmy Kudo. It feels like a fucking challenge sometimes, right? And I saw a nice, for a community that doesn't really do much charitable things. Although I've seen an uptick in gambling Twitter charity since I was doing it last year / getting called out for it, ironically enough. Now all these other people are doing it. Anyways, regardless of the intention or the coincidence, happy to see it. So trying to give love to MMA Gambling Twitter too, where it's deserved. Fenyo, a bit late, but I'm here, gents. What up, Fenyo? Jimmy Kudo, hello, Fenyo. Hi, Fenyo. Banger show the other day. Yep. Yeah, like I said, Fenyo had a great show. Glad you guys agree. Check out his stuff on the Fight Site podcast prelim feed. High to low attack, love it. Yes, sir. Rios and Truesdale. Is it good that Ortega takes long amounts of layoff time while keeping his ranking? I mean, it's never good because it's his prime. And then as far as from politics go, it's like, yeah, you're taking up ranking spots. Not fun. Next fight. I don't know if it's next on the list or if they're are they opening with this fight? 'Cause what the you know, I have my opinions, which I don't know, guys. I'm trying not to be a dead horse. I don't know. I know I only got like one negative thing as opposed to most positive. Most people seem to enjoy my alternative card formats, but yeah, try not to beat you guys over a dead horse. But you guys know my opinion on this shit, and they're doing it again this week. Anyways, God forbid we open with 155, 145, right? Jesus fucking Christ! Not like Cub Swanson or Andre Fili is right fucking there. Dan, sorry, stay on target. Next fight, Jourdain-Silva minus 148, Anthony Lionheart Smith plus 124. Yeah, man, this is tough. You can't be too sure on either side, and if you bet this fight like I did, you have to be willing to know you're willing to lose it on this one. This is one that this is not like there's a right side to it or anything like that or yada some extreme edge. I'm just essentially banking on the more proven product, and not just on short notice. It's Anthony Smith recently and relevantly been doing it, but you got Shogun entering the Hall of Fame. That was also a short notice fight, right? So you got to mention that. Oh, by the way, Ortega did do in Frankie in 3 weeks' notice for whatever that's worth. That was at 145, though. That was a more active Ortega. Again, these are just weird circumstances, so it's fucking so hard to predict that guy sometimes. But yeah, this one I'm taking Anthony Smith. I'm leaning with the more proven product, especially at plus money. What did this open as? You know, plus 142. Yeah, money coming in on Smith. I get it. They're both taking it on short notice technically. Roman looked like he was trying to get a date and trying to prepare. I don't know if he was at Extreme Couture or not. It looks like he was in Georgia at the time. So I'm guessing there was travel on his end. And regardless if there was or there wasn't, we've seen him in a full camp with the Extreme Couture crew at his back. And he still had a really troublesome performance that, you know, again, I don't know who looked worse, Silidze or the fact that Imavov wasn't able to finish Silidze, right? And yeah, against Smith, it'll be interesting. Roman, he has shown that he can, you know, return some hard kicks, and I've seen him check here and there, you know. But can we count on him to attack Smith's legs? I mean, who knows? Sometimes the guy will just come out southpaw. This wouldn't be the matchup to do it because you want prime real estate access to the leg kicks. So, you know, you would hope from Roman's side, Silidze's side, that he would come out orthodox for Smith on this. But it's tough, you know. He doesn't apply his air quote jiu-jitsu advantage. It sounded like he definitely gave Smith a run for his money, at least was competitive with him, you know, which would make sense. He's an unorthodox and a really good submission guy. But Smith, even in his really bad performances, I mean, seldom, you know, outside of his UFC debut against getting his knee busted against Braganetto back in the day, I mean, seldom do you really see him schooled as far as getting submitted goes, right? So, yeah, I like, you know, I like Smith's mental coming into this, which, again, even when I haven't liked his mental, which kept me away from him in, like, the spot from last time, even though I think I had him in a round robin just because it was just too stupid of a number to pass up on. Point is that, say what you will about Smith, even when it looks like he's just, ooh, this looks bad, he sounds bad, this is short notice, and the motherfucker will come in there and still win, right? So, yeah, this is just, you're giving me the plus money on the more experienced guy in the crazy spot, on the guy who's come through him on more crazy spots / short notice spots, against the guy who's coming up. I know Silidze is big, and he used to fight at 205, and he's a big middleweight, and Anthony Smith used to fight at middleweight. But again, Silidze has been more adjusted to 185, whereas Smith's been more adjusted to 205, and Silidze is coming up. Smith was preparing for this card before he took it, and took the spot before Silidze took the spot, so he's probably preparing more. Yeah, give me Anthony Smith here, and again, as I said in my Fluid Thoughts article, you're going to give me Anthony Smith round 3 against a guy like Silidze who looks like trash come round 3 on a full camp, much less on a short notice one. And if this gets into round 3, that, you know, something went wrong for Silidze, and or something went really right for him early, and he wasn't able to finish Smith, and now he's extra tired making the round 3, ironically enough, extra live if Smith gets off to a bad start, but can survive. So I took Smith round 3 plus 1,200, 0.33 use, Scottie Pippen there. And then I just put a unit on Smith at plus 122. Macy-Chiasson, minus 108. Myra Sheetara-Chiasson, minus 112. Eye of Thundera, give me sight beyond sight. Hey there, Lionel, what you looking at? Oh, does he use it to spy on Sheetara in the bathroom, the Family Guy thing? That's right. Oh, Lionel, do I have to use Thundercats again because it's a Sheetara? Is that mandatory at this point? I got to go Thundercats, Sheetara. If I can't think of anything, or you guys don't give me any better ideas for the movie theme, or something doesn't come up organically like it just did here in the show, I guess the Twitter fade, my Twitter gambling theme posts will be Thundercats this week to show my appropriate age. So yeah, Sheetara opened as like a north of a 2-1 favorite, which, yeah, I wouldn't have felt comfortable laying that, even though I probably still would have picked her. But now you're going to bring her down to even money. You didn't get plus money like I liked. I don't think we're going to get it. So I actually fired on minus 110 at 1.110 units for a 1 unit return. And that's it, because she can win in many ways, even though I think the body kicks and the leg kicks are going to be there, especially with the body kicks because of the stature, and we've seen body kicks hurt Chiasson before. The reason why I don't want to go cheeky and go TKO here, like, part of me was thinking maybe it could happen. I was saying it was possibly live with the Pennington fight with the leg kicks, which, by the way, I look like a genius in the first round of that fight because she comes out and immediately starts landing the leg kicks that I was talking about, right? And you just see the calf swelling up. And I wasn't the only person to mention one or the other side of the equation, but very few people were mentioning one, much less both. And I was like, that just seems right there. Everyone's focusing on Pennington grind as an underdog or Silva submission, like the leg kicks. Sure enough, I don't know exactly where she injures herself, but she gets injured in that first round, which I didn't know. And that actually explains it, even though Sheetara definitely has some screws loose. So, like, I wouldn't be surprised if she just went floating off in that ADD space. And I say that as a person with legit ADD and is constantly battling with it. It is not fun, folks. We all love to use it lightly to make jokes like I just did, but I say it both tongue-in-cheek as well as not lightly, as well as understandingly. But, you know, it actually makes more sense, to be fair to her, that she got injured in the first round, which completely makes me feel not completely better, but a little better about both picking her and playing her. And something Chiasson does, which I noticed, but I want to credit this because it was like, oh yeah, it really was. It was reminded and brought to light. I tried to listen to podcasts, but Anik and Florian podcast will be one that I'll kind of pop on because they break their stuff down into 2 shows, and sometimes when the first show finishes, they'll go into the second show, which is like a pick show. Shout out to my guy Brian Petrie, MMA there. But him and Kenny Florian will do analysis and picks, and while I'm, doing my billion things in a billion, I'm feeding the dogs here, trying to feed myself out. I got this and there, there's water running here, the laundry there. I've got stuff playing in the background, right? Doing my normal spinning multiple plates, the one-man show here. And sometimes you don't get to it quick enough, or you just, I've got my AirPods in, but the phone is charging somewhere else in another room, so I can't really, I can maybe stop it, but I can't go and select something else to listen to, so I'll say, fuck it, I'll just keep listening to this while I do it. And they were talking about this fight, and Kenny was saying how he noticed that Macy kind of just dips her head a lot in that, dips her head down and gives it. Hence that, she's given her some front choke losses, in the past and whatnot. And if she's getting that leg clipped or getting her body hurt, that's only going to, make her want to dip more, according to my analyses. So shouts to Kenny for noticing that habit of Macy, and I completely agree with him. So I fired on Jourdain-Silva for the line movement and the perceived value there. When the line's closed, we'll have a nice grab on that, but that doesn't mean anything unless we win, folks, so we'll see. Part of me would not be surprised, honestly, if Macy just blanketed her and we had a bad performance from Jourdain-Silva. I mean, stranger things have happened. It's WMMA. I know plenty of people think they're geniuses and put like 10 units on a WMMA fight, but like, I'm never going to be that guy, man. I'm not going to pretend that anything is a lock. In this game especially. I'm not selling you that. I'm not selling you anything. I certainly ain't ever going to sell you that. But I will tell you where I'm at, and it's Myra Jourdain-Silva, Sheetara, minus 110. Probably going to have her sub in the round robin. I kind of have my round robin, what I'm looking at lined up for you guys too, so I'll probably give that to you guys here at the end as well. I'll push on, and then one more in the main card. Then I'll get to the chat, and then I'll blow through the prelims. We've got Ian Machado-Gary minus 155. I'm not here to be Irish. I'm here to be Brazilian. Versus I know you guys love that one. Got to do it for the crowd. Got to do it for the culture. Versus Michael Page plus 124. So Page Open, I believe, is a slight favorite, even though this was practically a pick'em, as it should be in my opinion, regardless who you like. I think this is a pick'em. That being said, not just because Ian Gary is the hype one, not just because Ian Gary is the undefeated one, not just because Ian Gary is the younger one, shouts MMA Gambling Twitter, you love it, like you scout like fucking Jared from Subway. Not just because he is the favorite, you will look better in hindsight if Ian Gary wins, but because this is one of those spots where, like, yeah, man, I mean, with the context of Michael Page being both talented, more proven, yet still not proven somehow, despite his age and experience because of the fights that he's taken over in Bellator, right? We still don't, whether you're being kind or whether you're being cruel on the spectrum of Page, the common thread is that neither of us can stand too much on solid ground as far as for sure knowing this guy's ceiling. I mean, who can say they know for sure anyways, right? First of all. But you guys know what I mean. Like, it's just a weird one where it's just like, you know, and this is a perfect fight where regardless of how, if it's super impressive or not that impressive, but, you know, they're just, you know, you got the commentary doing this, they're doing the Tatsuo Taira where they're just fucking filleting and sucking off the fighter, you know, no matter what happens. Like, I'm just like, what? Am I watching the same thing these guys are watching? Which will probably happen. But yeah, I think this will be like, oh, Perry got fraud. I mean, it'll probably be that way either way, to be fair, because obviously Ian Gary has a lot of haters now, because even though he would be, for the reasons I said, you would think be an MMA Gambling Twitter darling, but I don't follow. You know how much people love calling people cucks. Well, yeah, there's something going on there with Ian Gary, so of course that's gonna supersede any kind of analysis or being a human being over here. You know, not that I'm defending whatever the fuck is going on. I don't even know, folks. I'm just saying he's not popular as well. But so I'm sure there'll be people dancing on his grave, because that's how we do it here in the world these days. We dance on people's graves, right? But yeah, this one will especially feel like a hindsight call, though, I believe, if Gary wins, because of the age and the the cooking time that's been on Michael Venom Page to get off the pot. That, to be honest, both his supporters and haters have fairly kind of had him under. It's okay, Hinge Boy. I'll let you go to the bathroom after this. I'm gonna try to blow through it, buddy. But yeah, I went and did this fight. I submitted my write-up. I did a feature breakdown on it for the Action Network, and I ended up on the Michael Venom Page side. Now, I actually like Gary's game. You guys know me. I defended it before. He actually will jab against southpaws. He'll actually work the body and the leg. And even though he's always had knees and knee finishes, he's been a little more flamboyant, opportunistic. He's actually been incorporating them and elbows well. Since he's been working with Shootbox, you actually can see him putting his money where his mouth is as far as his traveling abroad and training abroad. And now, not just will he use his lead hand to set up his body, leg, open side, power side attacks, head kicks up high, but he will have different ranges on his crosses. He has the improvising cross, as I like to say, where he's throwing the cross, but it's at a weird thing where he can throw it. He can throw it for a onesie. He can throw it to set up a second shot, or he can throw it but turn it into an elbow if the person is kind of crashing. And then if he turns it into an elbow, he can turn that into a knee and then throw into an elbow off the break, off the knee, right? Like, since he's been working with Shootbox his last couple camps, he's already incorporating these things, building off of his already pretty nice bread and butter arsenal, if I must say. Doesn't take things to the ground, but I'll be curious if he does here, because he has, even though it was Neil Magny, and it was Neil Magny in the later point of his career, and Neil Magny on short notice. I'm a Neil Magny fan, by the way. I'm not trying to shit on the guy. But I'm just saying, for anybody that wants to shit on that performance or the context surrounding that performance, which is fair, it's also fair to give Ian Machado Gary and any fighter, frankly, for that matter, credit when they do something as simple as fighting tactically smart, sticking to a game plan, exercising a fighter's weakness. Now, it was frustrating to not see him finish Neil Magny toward the end of that. He was arguably fighting a little too safe. But again, what's the positive you can take from that on the flip side, right? The positive you can take from that is that Gary is a guy who is smart, as brash as he is. He's not beyond fighting smart and doing some smart fundamental things, some real basics that a lot of people overlook. That being said, he is also the guy that's 6'3", the longer guy. He is, even though he fights different than Michael Venom Page, clearly he doesn't have the bladed stance or the karate stylings. He does fight with a similar ethos in the fact that he likes to fight in and out, even though he has shown that he can fight and fight effectively, mind you, when he pressures. I actually like that version of Gary better. That being said, he 9 out of 10 times in his fights, he's skirting the outside of the cage. Whether it's his opponent pressing the issue or it's that said style and ethos, again, inviting the pressure from his opponent, he likes to kind of counter. He likes to set the range till he sets the range, which he sets it in a more traditional way, whereas Michael Page sets it off of kind of human games of chicken, the self-proclaimed snake charmer. Again, Gary has the more fundamental, reliable process. He's trying to set it up off of his lead hand, right? But again, the different approaches, not that Michael Page can't or doesn't use his lead hand, but again, it's different approaches for a similar effect. So I ask you whether it's a stylistic parody that I'm talking about, as vague as it kind of may be, or the actual size and length parody that is at play. How does that happen, right? Sometimes fighters, it can be troublesome. Now, Kevin Holland, not as reliable as Ian Gary when it comes to the jab or the output or the process, but Kevin Holland been using the jab, been using a process, been using much more output since dropping back down to welterweight. The welterweight version of him has much more output at this stage of his career. And though maybe less reliable from a straight win-loss percentage than obviously comparing him to an undefeated fighter like Gary, I would say Kevin Holland, not just more length and reach and power and pomp, being a bigger fighter and a fighter who comes from a higher weight class, a middleweight, but has more pop on that right hand, more pinpoint accuracy on that right hand, right? Maybe not as good of a leg kicker, but probably a wash in the leg kick department. You know, he was definitely going for leg kicks as well, which is smart against any karate style opponent, as we've seen, right? Shogun versus Machida. Lima versus Page 1, right? It's kind of always been there for the bladed stance. So I'm curious if Gary will go to that. Again, I'm not sure if he's gonna dust off any grappling chops here. I wouldn't be surprised if he did, but I would count on him to throw more leg kicks because it's something we've seen him do when the matchup calls for it. That being said, not just how does he do against somebody who likes to do what he does or somebody of that length, right? Because we've seen Page, for as limited as you can accuse his sample size of being, well, the one UFC fight, it's actually a decent analog. It's not definitely, they're different fighters, Holland and Gary, but I mean, they're both 6'3", they're both long, they both like long straight shots down the pike, right? You know what I'm saying? They both throw the jab, the two, the leg kick. They don't like takedowns, but they will clinch more than you realize in fights. Like, there's a ton of parallels there. And Holland, less reliable, obviously, win or lose than Gary. Again, an undefeated fighter. But if we're going to talk about proven sample sizes or whatever, Holland's much more proven as far as his sample size goes. You know, maybe his ceiling is not as high. You want to argue that at welterweight. Sure, I'm okay with it. I'm not dying on any hills there. I'm okay and open to hear with what you have to say, but there's no denying the part of that argument conversation that is Holland not a reliable sample size or more reliable sample size than Gary, and we saw Page compared to said sample size. And then when we go to look conversely at Gary's more richer UFC sample size, where are the counter strikers in there? Oh wait, because there's not many. There's no dedicated ones. And if you look at it, whether it was the fighters that were crash countering him, striking at the same time, like a Jeff Neal, who actually just had some normal counters as well, which not necessarily, Jeff Neal can counter, by the way, but it's just not normally, he's more just offensive, barrage you, get you into the Robbie Lawler kill zone, and then just unload left-sided shots off of more menacing pressure. But yeah, whenever fighters do counter, that's, aside from making it ugly or corralling them, that's where, a lot of his bloody noses, bloody lips, and busted up face kind of comes from. Because again, Gary doesn't wear damage that well either. Something to consider here, folks. I'd say win or lose, he obviously only wins. But even in winning, point being, is he gets busted up more often than not, right? I think the D-Rod fight might have been the only fight that he didn't get like a bloody nose or bloody lip from. He's like, I think 9 out of 10 fights, he's always, not that the judges weigh that as heavily as Dominic Cruz would like to make you believe. But again, in close rounds, that stuff definitely matters. And basically, I think whatever striking differential that you see doubling up on for whatever the UFC stats of that stupid sample size, like I keep mentioning, is you got to put context to it here, folks. That's why I guess is why you're going to breakdowns like mine. I don't know why else you'd be here. But yeah, I think a lot of that output is going to be muted because of the countering dynamic. Not just because that's what Michael Page does, it's his specialty. But again, even non-unique, say what you will about Michael Page's level, I don't even know if we've seen lower level dedicated counter-strikers against Gary in recent memory, right? That's including going like back to Cage Warriors against guys like Rostam Akhman, who he finishes with a head kick along the fence. So yeah, I think Pick'em is correct. Again, in hindsight, someone's going to look like a genius, especially the Gary side, but really we don't know. So the Pick'em odds are justified. I don't blame people going in on Gary, but at this point, when you start getting into the playable chalk, minus 150 and above, which is where he's listed at majority of houses, you're going to give me plus 130, plus 135, which is what I got it for Michael Venom Page. Well, I'm going to find out. That's more than enough for me to find out. So I took Michael Venom Page plus 135 for one unit. That's all I want with that fight, though. I don't really even want to mess with that in a round robin. I don't want to play guessing. Is it by decision? Is it by? Because either way, I'm already setting myself up for heartbreak. These lower output fights lend themselves to wonky decisions. So maybe Michael Venom Page doesn't even have to win for this bet to cash. That being said, we know that those breaks usually don't go for me. It's whether it's the fighters or the gamblers, it's the same people getting the breaks and the same people that keep getting fucked. Pouring out for my guy Jared Gordon. Shout out. Me and Fenyo called that, by the way. Like, we were joking, like, I'm going to bet on these fighters, and there's going to be, like, not only am I going to lose, but it's going to be, like, heartbreaking situations. You got D-Rod fucking having to, like, do the cope thing where he's like, well, I guess I got some of the money, but he just got fucking hosed. Fucking Jared Gordon gets orbital broken, he gets all fucked up, and still wins the decision he should have wins, but then loses. Again, when I say I'm accurate and all-knowing, that's what I mean, folks. It's in the most heartbreaking, fucking shitty, I suck way possible for what that's worth. All right. I'm gonna clean up the chat, and then we'll go to. I'll blow through these prelims. Reese's and Truesdale, Drake Riggs _ wrote an opinion article about why you should care about MBS versus Chiasson and why it should be on the main card. I don't agree, but it had good points and it made a lot of people angry, which is funny. I think he should make people more angry by writing that like that because it outs the strangest people. Yeah, and sadly, that's what our world, that's what these social sites. That's what they're like. They're like angry shit. That's what's gonna get successful if you can make people angry. Sadly, that being said, that's not Drake Riggs' goal. He's not. He's a good dude. Shout out to Drake Riggs. Good shout. Love Drake Riggs. And I don't even know if it's gonna make my main card, but whether it does or doesn't, and even though I haven't looked at that, I don't think that's a bad opinion. Because again, you want to give. If I'm gonna keep the same energy and be like, give love to underserved divisions, you could argue the ladies divisions are, but then again they get headlining spots too, so I don't know about that. We'll see where I end up, but I sure as shit ain't opening the card with Ian Gary and Michael Page, even if they do end up on the main card. Cub Swanson versus Fili, but who do they have leading in? Do they at least have that leading in? Because they would be smart if they had a lighter weight class leading. Oh no, it's B. Joe Pyfer. So we can jerk off the Contender Series. And if you don't know, now you know. Which they only ever bring up if, that machine gun spray at random is right. Which it's going to be right because we've filled most of the cards of the Contender Series. Congratulations. Joe Pyfer minus 290. Marc-Andre Barrieux plus 235. Yeah, I'm not much is jumping out for me from a gambling perspective, which is not making me motivated to put much analysis into the prelim. So I apologize for my fellow analyst nerds for coming up short for you on that end. You should probably be frankly used to with me by now. But I'm going to take Joe Pyfer here. Be a Joe Pyfer, but I don't know if I'm confident in him or if I'd even put him in a parlay. We'll see. I'm sure Donnie Clifton would put him in the Donnie special. Andre Fili minus 230, Cub Swanson plus 190. I still got to look into this fight. This is the last live dog that I was looking at, which was Cub Swanson, especially if you can find him at 2-1. But that's kind of getting harder to find, and we'll see if I end up on that side. And I don't know. Whether or not you want to count the 2U that's not going on the official record or not, my conservative ass is just get stressed out trying to add more stuff. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe he'll end up on a round robin or not. We'll see. But I'll probably end up picking Swanson. I like Andre Fili too. Pizza for Fili. But at that price, no way, Jose. Charles Jourdain, minus 115. Jourdain-Silva, minus 105. People fading Jourdain. I guess I get it. Like, Jourdain's frustrating for me, man, in many ways. Many ways. He's pretty much on my no bet list, and he's one of the few round 3 guys that I don't take round 3 bites at after him failing to finish like the most susceptible round 3 fighter, which is Andre Wool. Ugh. I will never let that one go. Fucking get yourself a bonus check. No, it's imitate Leonidas because that's fucking not old. Yeah, I'm gonna take. I don't know who I'm gonna take in that fight. I'll be rooting for Jourdain-Silva, but I may take Jourdain. We'll see. No, clearly no strong opinion. I'll be done soon, buddy, on that fight. Peyton Talbot, who is the hotness, of course, getting bet minus 1,600. Yanis Gumuri plus 900. Cue the Mad Max gif, Dan Tom tweet, like, MMA gamblers bragging about their early fight week CLV chalk, like, just going crazy, just gassing themselves on the fucking timelines over hype chalk. I'm sure everybody's just, if they didn't blow their loads on Shara Bullet. By the way, everybody's like, ooh, Shara Bullet, like holding the fucking gun. Everybody coming all over the timeline, sopping up gotta sop up the timeline, gotta clean up all the fucking goop off the fucking cage, for, off the fucking timeline for the Shara Bullet stuff, because he's holding a gun, filming it. Oh, God, it's so stupid. You see him in the jumpsuit holding a gun. Like, I swear to God, if somebody just does, like, some kind of, like, Photoshop fan art thing of him holding a bullet, like, half the timeline of, like, dudes under 30 MMA fans are going to fucking cum their pants. I swear to God. Shara Bullet, oh! Like, I saw someone comment, it was hilarious. Like, he's probably pointing the gun at somebody doing PDA, a couple doing PDA. I'm like, it's probably, I could imagine just fucking shipment off there with the gun going, seeing 2 people hold hands. This aggression will not stand, man. It will not stand. This summer, the Big Madovsky, Shara Bullet, is the Big Madovsky. So it's like the opposite of the Big Lebowski. It's just, instead of like a laid back weed dude, it's just some like uptight fucking Russian Dagestani going holy war on everybody. There we go. The fans will love it. Okay, on this fight, I'm going to go Peyton Talbot by round 2 submission. Ghemmouri, that was bullshit. The fight got stopped on a groin kick over that, and then Gomes got like favorable odds over Jourdain-Silva over it. Shout out to Fanyo. Fucking hashtag fraud Gomes. Poor Gomes, probably a nice guy, and you got me and Fanyo just fucking taking paddles at him like we're fucking like he's fucking a kid from Dazed and Confused just graduating junior high, just fucking taking our turns. I'm probably gonna have Talbot round 2 and a round robin. Next, gotta fucking go somewhere else because fight odds, God forbid they fucking keep it in one spot. Potty mouth on Dan Tom today. Jillian Robertson minus 185 versus Monchan. Yeah. Michelle Waterson plus 154. Yeah, gonna show you, gonna sexualize the stereotype. Show you my outfit, Monchan. She's on her. I don't know. We can get a retirement speech from her. I don't know. Shout out to Fanyo. I don't know if Fanyo was going to mention it. I kind of tuned out, even though I tuned in at this part of the because I don't want to ruin my takes and filter. But I was curious if Fanyo mentioned the thing we talked about last time, where I forget what score card he was like. I don't know how she won that fight I'm like, I do. And someone was looking at the Asian Buday rather than judging the fight, I think. And we were being tongue in cheek, but then like that very card, there was like that same exact scenario where it was like a ridiculous scorecard that even the crew who defends judges were like, okay, I can't explain that one. And I'm like, well, the Hunter girl may not have been the recipient, you know? And you do that math, it's actually kind of spooky how much it fucking lines up. Coincidence or not? You decide. That being said, you know, I don't know about you guys, but a little more partial to the redheads myself, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, Jillian Robertson has that, you know, that I'm auditioning for a porn girl video vibes to her. So I don't, who knows what the judges are into? Damn, why do we have to get creepier? Stay on target. Stay on target. I'm saying, the point is, you could throw creepy, weird fetish shit either side on this fight. So I don't want to go too far down that alley any further than I already have. Basically, I like where Jillian Robertson's head's at. You know, I think confidence has been our biggest thing because that kind of showed itself in some of the fights. But, you know, say what you will about the craziness, the goat shit and all that wackiness or whatever. I like where her head's at. I like that she's finally dropping down or back down or down, however it is, to 115. I always felt like she was a straw weight before. Never want to tell a fighter to cut weight, right? You don't know how hard it is to make weight. I've got one of those frames that's both, you know, not saying hers isn't impressive. Hers is impressive. Again, Jillian Robertson fan over here. I'm just saying I've got like a non-impressive frame that's harder to get down than it would seem. So, sympathies. But I do think she should be a straw weight. So I like all this for her. I like that she wants to do damage and is looking for the submission. This is one of the things that may end up on the round robin. Jillian Robertson by sub. I'm trying to decide if I want her, Buenosova, or maybe both, because like one of the fourth spots was either going to be maybe like a Poetan round prop, or like a Poetan or a Lopez TKO, because I said I was looking for one of those, but they're both like crappy prices and will limit me to a 4, which I may do anyways, but even at a 4-leg round robin, still not sexy when you only have the plus 125 and plus 175s in there. So yeah, definitely looking at this Waterson sub, plus it'll actually give me some action on the prelims, which is pretty vacant. Unless I add another dog. We got Andre Arlovski. I'm taking Robertson by submission over Mom Champ, yeah. Arlovski plus 220 over Martin Buday. Looks like David Harbour from Stranger Things, minus 270. You know me, I'm going to auto pick Arlovski. Will I auto bet Arlovski? Probably not, like a unit straight or anything stupid like that. But he is another tempted guy where, like, do you throw him in the round robin? But again, at least for me, there's plenty of dogs, actually. Like, you could bet all dogs on the main card, and I wouldn't blame you. But being that there's a lot of live dogs on the main card, then you've got, like, OG for the culture, too big of a number, over 2-to-1 dogs like Cup Swanson or Arlovski there. If you wanted to do some kind of, you know, round robin underdog parlay for fun, you know, you put one unit, spread it across 4 dogs that are, you know, hopefully at least 2 of them plus 2-to-1 or over. I think you could do a lot worse with your money there. But at the same time, I honestly can't recommend you put any money on a guy like Arlovski. Let's be honest, folks. The guy's been, what is he going on, his 4th decade or something at this point? Jesus fucking Christ, who knows? But I will probably pick him because fucking heavyweight, and who fucking cares? Who fucking cares? Who fucking cares? Ray-Tsuruya, minus 470. Carlos Hernandez, plus 360. Okay, I'm actually excited for this fight, not for betting-wise, because it's gassed line. But for Ray-Tsuruya, I like him. He was on my first prospects article, which, again, continues to age well. Again, not trying to be the know-it-all guy, but, like, both trying to, like, God forbid, talk more positively about myself. God forbid, highlight the little wins, because I get so goddamn few of them, and then he walks right now, life it feels like. But aside from that, it's also nice to realize where it's like I'm trying to be constructive and be like, I usually lose on these prospect dudes because I'm fading them for the proven products. Does that mean I have some blind spots to prospects and younger talent? Well, I don't know if that's necessarily my case. It's, you know, as far as that goes, at least maybe the betting part still I'm dialing in on multiple fronts, obviously. Ugh, this is cramp. This is weird. I don't know. That's weird. Fucking who knows? I'm falling apart, folks. Who knows what the fuck's happening? I don't got time to go to the doctor because always a deadline and always a fucking UFC schedule never fucking stops. I'm just going to fall apart right in front of you guys. Who fucking cares? Who knows? What was I saying? Yeah, anyways. Yeah, whatever. Them, UFC, what, Ray-Tsuruya. Oh, yeah, my prospects article. Yeah, like, dude, these things keep aging like ridiculously well. Like, you look at the win percentages, the finish percentages, who's getting signed by the UFC, who's winning regional titles. Like, these things continue to age well for whatever that's worth, folks. We had Kamidov won last weekend over in Bellator. And then, yeah, we got Tsuruya being featured this week. Of course, he's still getting buried second to last fight on the card, just like the other Road to UFC fight last week, even though he's an actual good Road to UFC fighter. But, again, Asian things, folks. We know how the UFC promotes / under-promotes these. Unless it's Tetsuro Taira, and I bet him, and it's complete fucking warped version of history being commentated, because of course, why not? The one time everybody else loves Asian fighters for whatever reason, right? Of course. Anyways, and I like Taira, I'm just saying, it's annoying. I'm going to pick Ray Tsuruya here by round 2 TKO. Ricky Simon Bato, who's gonna, I don't know if he's got a case against Diego Lopes for hair infringement, but we'll see. Somebody should do a Diego Lopes Simon mullet parlay. That would be awesome. Minus 250. Come back on Vinicius Oliveira, who has that sick highlight KO plus 205. Haven't looked into this fight, but I will probably end up picking the more proven product. Although that flying knee highlight is definitely in the back of my mind when Ricky Simon looks to cool down the younger, taller guy with a takedown or something, right? Like, couldn't something like that happen? I'll probably pick Ricky Simon, but I don't know how exposed I'll be to that fight. Check me out on fight day. How do we do on time, folks? 1:40? I still went 2 hours? Holy fuck, you dumb bastard. Everybody looking at their clock. Time got away from me. I didn't even do the recap. I started at 17, so it was like an hour and 20-minute recap. I thought I went pretty fast on the main event, too. Jesus, where'd the fucking time go, folks? Is it reading the chat? Is that why? Should I be a dick and not read and just only read the monetized people who pay? Hit the like, by the way, folks. We got a bunch of people watching and 739 watching and only 12 likes. What the fuck? Hit that like button before we get out of there. I'm going to recap, so get in the chat before we get out of there. And thank you, my guy, Derek. Debo7. Thank you for that, brother. Appreciate the share in it. Yeah, I'm going to recap, pick some plays. I just reshared this on Twitter. I forgot to do it when I started the breakdown like I should have, because I'm the one-man producer over here, and I suck at everything. So what is fucking new? All right, what we got going on in the chat here? James Kendrick, good, because someone at MMA Twitter gambling space put $5K on a women's fight. LOLOL. Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm the fucking loser, so what are you going to do? Ghost Phantom says, I heard on a podcast called MMA Ecosystem that we should ignore Gary's peculiar wife and Connor impression, since he does game plan well, and I thought that was well put. Yeah, definitely. I think I might have just said the same thing. Did I not? But I'm sure that comment came before that. Not that I'm upset or anything. I'm just saying. I agree. Jimmy Kudo. B. Joe Pyfer is so cringe. Just justifies the low contender series pay as well as the Apex garbage. Yeah, even a guy like Joe Pyfer is getting taken care of. Like, you can even hear it with him, and he's like a company bootstrap guy, and even he's like constantly talking about getting that new contract and getting better pay, trying to fight for financial security and going for the bonuses, because the pay ain't great, much less depending on your damn win bonus and all the shit that can go wrong. And that's like the fighters themselves, and that's like the bootstrapping fighters who woo-hoo rah-rah. Yet, people act like this is some sure shot in here. It's just funny. From our couches. James Kendrick, why do we not like Mom Champ? It's nothing personal. I'm sure she's nice or whatever. Just, I don't know. I don't get too into it. I'm sure she's a fine person, but, whatever. Just, I don't know. It's tough because a lot of stuff I've been guilty at in some form or degree myself as an Asian American, but yeah, she just definitely plays into the stereotype, very much like just I don't know. I don't. It's like it's hard to say, but I'll say it about my own, I guess. But you'll see similar criticisms where it's like Latino, black, with like comedians, for example, where it's like whether they're good or not, whether we like them or not. There are some that just kind of lean into the same skit, the same stereotype, and it just perpetuates this bullshit. And it's kind of like, it's funny, but then at the same time, you kind of see like after a while, it's like, I don't know how creative it is, and then also like I don't know how much this shit perpetuates. And yeah, she's just done some of that shit before, and it just gets really old hearing her Asian mom impression. At least Rashad's mom impression wasn't like ethnic, and Rashad was funny as hell. Like, that's like GOAT MMA mom impressions right there. But yeah, let's just say Michelle Waterson's one was old. And that wasn't the only thing. I just really don't want to get into it. It's not that important, really, to be honest. And I wish her the best as a human being and her family the best. So, yeah. Ghost Phantom, I mentioned this on the early prelims, but it's going to be a rough 30 minutes with Waterson and Arlovski back-to-back. Yeah, it's going to be rough. Reasons of Truesdale, for me, it's Waterson's weird fan base and cringe interviews. Yeah, it's her cringe interviews as well. Just super cringe. All right, let's get out of here. Thank you guys. Again, support the Substack at Dan Tom MMA. Subscribe for free. You don't have to pay anything. Make it as much free as possible. But if you do, you get access to the post-fight show. Me and Fania will be probably going live. It's not looking like I'm going to go to the show live, which means I'll probably be going live. I'll keep you guys updated on that. You guys get access to, all the normal stuff that's free, like alternative card format breakdowns, Southpaw reports. We're going to be knocking out in the next 24. Already got Fluid Thoughts up. I already had all these plays posted there before I came on here, like I will be doing as per usual, normal, did last week. Thank you guys on the YouTube, members of the Dan Clan. Shouted you guys out earlier, as well as Substack subscribers. If you want to subscribe to my channel, which is for free, by the way, at Dan Tom MMA, and that really helps. You don't have to spend a penny to like, share, support, share this out, retweet, please, appreciate it. But if you want to go the extra mile, support, if you want to participate, as well as contribute, watch, etc., these live shows and post-fight shows that are behind the paywall, subscribe to the Dan Clan. You can earn custom badges at Dan Tom MMA. That one's only $2.99 a month, and you will get, if you email and DM me, of course, you will get a link for 50% off your Substack subscription, so that you can get kind of both memberships for basically not much more than $5 a month, which is what I wanted to try to keep things at. So that's what I got. If you guys want to support, I don't deserve it, but I appreciate it. Wish you guys all the best. Let's recap this shit and get the fuck out of here. I fucked up and went long. I fuck up and gonna go long and be running late on everything as usual. Picking Pereira over Prochazka. Taking Lopes over Ortega. Taking Smith over Dolidze. Taking Sheetara over Chiasson. Taking MVP over Ian. I'm not here to be Irish. I'm here to be Brazilian, Machado Gary. Taking Pyfer Puffer over Ortega-Lopes. Probably taking over Swanson-Fili. Check me on Fight Day. Probably taking Jourdain over Silva, though I'll be rooting for Silva either way. Check me on Fight Day. Taking Talbott over Ghemmouri. Taking Robinson over Marchan. Yeah. Taking Arlovski over Buday. Don't follow me off that cliff. Taking Tsuruya over Hernandez. Taking Simon-Oliveira over Oliveira. Plays. Jourdain-Silva minus 1.110 unit for 1 unit return. MVP plus 135 for 1 unit. Smith plus 122 for 1 unit. Lopez minus 140 for 1.4 units. Poetan round 1 plus 380.75 units. Round 2 plus 550.60 units. And that's 0.60, not 60, folks. And Smith round 3 plus 1200.33 U. A Scotty Pippen there. Nothing else so far for the round robins. I'll probably be looking for, maybe some Talbot round 2 for sure. Some Smith round 3 for sure. Probably some Robertson sub. Some Sheetara sub, which is already at 4 legs. Not sure if I'll do a 5th leg, but we'll see. We'll see how the order comes out. Check me at Dan Tom MMA on Fight Day. Sorry this ran long. Sorry I ran late. Hopefully I can run you guys some actual good picks and plays for once regardless. Don't blame me for fading mine at this point. Hopefully I catch you guys. I appreciate the support, the love. Apologies for everything. Good luck in your picks and plays. And always protect your neck.